I can English. And okay, something happened there. And we should be live. Let's see what the Twitch-omophone is saying.
Yep.
We are most certainly live. Alright. Let's see. Hello and welcome to Pride Station. Today we have a very esteemed guest and one I hold in a very high regard. And that would be Grevinelveck.
I'm coming in for a landing. Hopefully.
I'm kinda okay. Move away.
Am I gonna fit? It's the question. Looks like I'll be good.
No, it's okay. Just relax. I mean, you can actually go full pelt. Block damage is not on in this world.
Yeah, but I'd rather have a little bit of professionalism about coming in for a landing, you know?
He says as he... Okay, you actually meant to... right.
Yeah, why not? That way it's out of the way of the actual walking path. I always land up on sides or ceilings, so it doesn't interfere with walking.
That's very considerate. Let's just close the door and just have not all the vacuum of space, but have the vacuum of this. It's a much smaller vacuum.
Yes, much smaller.
So,
I
wait.
actually parked that thing about perfect.
Yeah. There we go. All right.
This is the Pride Station.
This is Pride Station. You are very welcome.
I recognize that drawing there.
That is the yeah, that's the work of Fiona, and I am permanently grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
So credits due where credits due.
Oh, I'll have to beat your pants off them so this Mortal Kombat later.
It's too bad that you cannot play those games.
I know, right?
That's
one of the reasons why I took the vending machines out of the Hammerman pack for the miasma server, because they just didn't really serve a purpose other than decoration.
Yeah, you can't wait. Oh no! This is the wrong. This is the old version of the station. I don't have my questions. Well, I have to dig them up because I have them, of course.
Of course.
Sometimes I'm so me that it's not even funny.
Gotcha.
It was a rotor and small grid and everything, but no.
Yeah, I saw that on one of the other streams. I think it was the one with Slimy. I saw that you were using that.
Yeah.
It was pretty nicely set up.
I have to rework that. I was so proud that everything is in order. I'll go sit here in the newly appointed corner of shame. Let's see. Let's set up the spectator cam. So, come on, spectator cam, you can do it. I really wish I knew how to make modded skyboxes, because that would be really nice here. But my technical abilities is enough to barely do what I should in this game. So, yeah. Anyway, I did find my notes. They are around here somewhere.
I've got a copy of the questions if you can't seem to find them.
No, I have them here. I actually sent them to myself on Messenger, and I don't usually message myself, so not a lot.
Yeah, that tends to make it somewhat easy to find.
Yep. So, anyway, let's go with the basics, because I know you, but I don't know if the viewers know you, and proper introductions and all.
Yeah. Well, I go by Grevinelveck in the gaming world. A little bit about me: I am actually the father of 3. I have twin 13-year-olds, which are quickly becoming gamers in themselves, and I have a almost 2-year-old daughter who is into everything and is the size of almost a 3-year-old. Other than that, got seriously into gaming with text-based MUDs.
Oh.
Yeah, I've played one called Towers of Jadre. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was a skill-based training system. So you actually got better at the skills in the mud by doing the maneuvers, by actually striking or tripping or whatever you were doing. So it was a fun system and a very well thought out world. Great moderators. The world was constantly expanding.
Yeah, I did some playing around with mucks and muds back when. So yeah, I had some of my first experiences doing different kinds of stuff were there.
Yeah. And then I got into doing LAN parties with some buddies there for a while when I first got my very first computer, my first couple of years in the Marine Corps. I think it was shortly after Operation Iraqi Freedom 1 that I got my first computer.
Oh.
And then after that, I wound up getting into Minecraft real big. And I actually did some coding in the old Bucket system, the server wrapper Bucket. Made 3 plugins for that. Fairly simple. And then after that, I kind of bounced around from game to game for a bit. I still play a lot of Minecraft, mostly Space Engineers, Ark, and I like to build servers, and I like to play hardcore. And the servers I build are usually hardcore.
Yes. Period.
Right now, I'm running 2 servers. One of them's running the Dwarven Might mod pack that I put together.
And
Basically, underground survival in Minecraft.
Ah.
And then the other one is, as you know, the Space Engineers mod pack Miasma.
Yes. Very aptly named.
And as of recently, we did manage to finish stabilizing that, so it's very much playable now. I was a little frustrated there for a little bit.
Yes, it was super unstable and that was no fun for everybody. But yeah, that is absolutely a hardcore thing. And I might have accused you of being a gaming masochist on a number of occasions.
Well, if the shoe fits,
Yes.
you wear it. I'm a little bit of both. I'm a little bit of a sadist. I'm a little bit of a masochist. I like to make the hardcore packs. I really enjoy the wails of agony from people playing my mod packs, but I enjoy playing them as well.
Yep.
So, I guess it's a little bit fair that way,
Yeah, because somebody just inflicting pain and not receiving it, now that would be completely unfair.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you have kind of covered the second question, the first half of the second question, because it seems that you like playing games where you can do stuff, where you can be creative.
I'm not as much for the the straight up FPS or straight up survival or the straight up this, that, or another. I'm more of, I like to be able to interact with the world around me. I like to be able to progress as a character. Things like that. RPG style especially interests me, but mostly I stick to the sandbox survival of late. And I'm always interested in trying out a new one. And I like to stream my successes and failures when I get a chance, because it gives me a chance to talk to the community and introduce new people to new games. I don't really do it for fame or glory or any of that. Is sometimes the case. And, it's more of, oh, you haven't played this game. That's, here's the perks about it. Here's the downsides about it. It's a beta. It's an early access. Most of the bugs are worked out, or despite the bugs, this is a fun game, kind of.
Yes.
Just kind of give a quick rundown on the game. I was actually known back in college as the cult master, because I could pretty much talk anybody into trying out anything.
The cult master.
The cult master. When it first came into being, it's kind of a little funny story. So I'm sure everybody's heard of the story, the show, My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic.
Yep.
Alright, I had never seen an episode of this up to this point. And one of the guys who was always calling me the cult master, and I always argued with him that I wasn't a cult master. He's like, alright, I got a deal for you. I will drop the cult master title if you give your best to try to convince somebody of my choosing to watch My Little Pony.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, don't watch it yourself. I just want you to do a little bit of research online, check it out, see what the pros and cons are, try to figure out what your angle of attack is. And then tomorrow I'll give you the name of your target. It'll be somebody you know, it'll be somebody you talk to, friend.
Yeah.
and see what you can do. Well, I went and I looked at it, and from reading it, you find out that there's all kinds of nerd humor and stuff hidden away in there, like the Doctor Who references with Doctor
Yes.
Hooves and things like that, and all that stuff mixed in. So I got myself a nice little background repertoire. Kind of figured out what was going on. Found out that a lot of the like of it is actually the fan made stuff, like I think they're called pony music videos and things like that. And I went up to this guy, and it was actually one of my good friends, and I spent like 15, 20 minutes with him. I was like, yeah, I watched this last night. I was surprised at how good it was, yada, yada, yada. He did the normal, I would never watch something like that. It's a kid's show, yada,
Yeah,
yada,
yeah,
yada.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the next day he comes in, and he looks like a raccoon.
Okay.
He had apparently stayed up all night watching My Little Pony.
Yeah, well...
So I did not
yeah.
wind up getting stopped called the cult master, and the name actually spread after that.
Well, I might put in a word with the community of changing your title, because the cult master, I am very for it. So, yeah, well, what we haven't covered is why you play, though.
Well, I'll be honest in this one. All right, I come from a family with a long lines of addictions, both sides of my family. My father and my brother, their addictions were expressed through massive quantities of alcohol and/or drugs. The other side of my family, it was common for them to all drink, so it kind of hid the fact that they were all pretty much alcoholics. Me, I wound up expressing my addiction in a completely different way, which is video games. I'm somewhat addicted to them. I have to play them to unwind. It's how I calm down. It's how I relax from the day of work, things of that nature.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, it's a way to socialize, and I don't really socialize well in the real world. So, I mean, that's why I usually stick to the multiplayer online. It's why I like to stream and things like that, because it allows me to talk to people, but not have to face them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that's kind of a weird, almost kind of cowardly thing, but it's the truth of the matter.
Oh, well, I can completely relate. I was at a gathering yesterday. Yes, yesterday, the day before this. And there were less people, around the same number of people there than is here. And a couple of hours there, and it really nice people. I know them, and I really like most of them. And after a couple of hours, I was just really, really tired. I could have done a 3-hour stream that night, no problem.
Yeah.
It's just a different level.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, at least I can always just turn off. If when it's enough, I can say, okay, good night, people. I'm going.
Or you can just mute somebody.
I was about to say that I would love for ball gags to be a thing in the real world, but then.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of a basic background on myself. I've done a little bit of game. I mean, what I'd love to do is actually get into game design itself. I almost finished college on that. But, my ex actually messed up my Montgomery GI Bill, post 9/11 version, and basically between her job and what I was getting from the GI Bill, we were fine. But she wanted more. She wanted me to have a full-time job. And when you're doing a lot of your courses online and they're computer programming courses, you're looking at like 6-7 hours just to finish one of the programs for the course.
Yeah.
And then throw on a full-time work schedule on top of that, and I just started falling behind, and my grades slipped, and I wound up finding 5 courses away from completion, and they were the good ones too. They were the actual graphic designs.
Of course.
So they're the ones that I really needed to truly get started. Straight out of school, get started making my own games. And I have some great ideas for games, I just don't have the background to really start. And I don't know where to start. I don't have. I mean, I'm sure I could probably do enough research to figure it out, but I'm going to have to do a lot of it on my own, so it's going to take a lot more time. It's going to be a lot more unrefined in the beginning.
Yeah.
And the ideas I have are not something that can be unrefined.
No,
So it would be a long-term project with really, so to speak, late game profitability.
Yeah. I think most people that have been gaming for a while have spent more, some time at least, just thinking about, okay, what would be my game?
Yeah.
That's
I had one cool idea where basically you make all the armor sets for like an MMO. Let's just use an MMO as an example.
mm-hmm.
But actually have the armor with integrated drag points. So each suit of armor is a snap grid, and the players can go into a UI and I want the spike on my left shoulder to be just a little bit longer, and they can literally just grab it and just move it a little bit and make it their own suit of armor.
Okay. Retro Engineer and steal the builder from Spore.
No, well, I mean, I know the basics of how to do what I want to do. I just don't know how to even get started with the graphics interface.
Yeah. I hear you.
And taking on that is it's a project, and between work, being a dad, and the time I spend gaming, I limit myself a lot. Now, if I could probably cut back a little bit on the gaming, I would probably be able to squeeze in some time, and I would enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I would absolutely love to enjoy to build the games, but I love the time I spend with the communities that I've been a part of a lot. You know, I've been admin on more servers than I can count. I've logged into a server, and an hour later, the staff been handing me the keys to their server just because I'm not the normal trash that logs on to a server.
Okay. Okay, I think we kind of stumble upon the third question here, and that is because since you have apparently been very much around, what is your impression of the gaming community when it comes to diversity and tolerance, and maybe in general? Because
it's hit and miss.
Okay.
I've been on servers where there's absolutely nothing to complain about the community. The community is great. You will have the occasional idiot griefer that logs in, or the person who just tries to start up shit. It happens, but when you have a good server, you have the staff that not only are going to enforce their rules, but are going to live by their rules. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing I look for in servers is if I get on a server and I see that the admin aren't even obeying their own rules,
yeah,
it kind of kills it for me. I mean, yeah, you're the admin, it's your server, you can do what you want.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, I understand that. But don't pretend otherwise.
No. If you want to do hardcore survival series, don't go in Space Engineers, don't go and Space Master everything.
Yeah, or even just a standard survival. If you're going to call it survival, you don't creative things. Unless, like, alright, Dwarven Hardcore, there's a severe bug with it. Or Dwarven Might, the Minecraft pack I was talking about, right, that I built.
Yeah.
There are, I think, 3 mods, which is the new Thaumcraft that just got released for 1.12, actually additions, and integrated dynamics. Now, these 3 add in plants, either trees or actual plants that you farm and stuff like that. That because it's a cave world generation, they will not spawn.
Yeah.
Part of their generation is they spawn under sunlight. And that's the only way they'll generate is if the block that they try to spawn on can see sun.
Yeah.
So in that instance, I developed a kit when we started, me and my buddies, because I built this server for my buddy. who's actually out in Afghanistan right now as a civilian contractor. Great guy.
Okay. Cool.
And it had one of each of the materials that we were lacking, whether it be a seed or a sapling. And then I imposed rules on us as for we have to have accomplished this to pull this out of the chest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, something like that's a little different. If you can't access the resource, making a way to access it is cool.
Absolutely.
But if you're not meant to access that resource, like let's say miasma revelations, you're not meant to have access to rim cores unless XYZ.
Yes.
You don't just give yourself a stack of rim cores so you can make a warp core and power, every ship you've ever designed all at once.
No, you don't. So yeah. So basically, fair play is, and I completely agree with you. Fair play or unfair play is a surefire way of people going, nope, I won't do this. No fun.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of the generalized my view of the gaming community. And like I said, most of the time, as far as the people go, I've been on a lot of good servers. Sometimes, like for instance, I will not name the group, I will not name names or anything like that, but I was on an ARC-RP server.
Mm-hmm.
And there were very specific rules to how you rated.
Yeah.
And what the individuals could do if they were rated.
Yeah.
Well, I had witnessed 10, 15, 20 raids. Hadn't been raided myself because I was a trader. I was on a boat, and they knew they really couldn't raid me without actually destroying the base, which was completely against the rules.
Yeah.
I was playing a smuggler, a dwarven smuggler. I had this great, big, awesome steamboat built with all these hidden chambers on it and stuff, and I smuggled gunpowder to different tribes and dinos, and even did a one run where another tribe went in and actually knocked out somebody, handcuffed them, and they brought them back to my boat, put them in scuba gear, and actually hid them in one of my underwater holds, and took them back to their base and dropped them off. So I mean, I had a lot of fun with it.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, the admin's tribe got raided.
Yep.
And one of their top tier Ascendant Rex saddle blueprints got stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And the admin proceeded to teleport around the map and go through everybody's stuff until he found it.
Yeah.
So I broadcast, as soon as that happened, I broadcasted over comms that, hey, I'm giving away a bunch of dinosaurs and a bunch of free junk. Come and get it. As soon as my ship was emptied out, I destroyed the boat, I logged off, and I've never been back.
No, I hear you.
So it's the double standards, I think, is what gets me the most in the real world and in the gaming world. Is I just don't like double standards.
No, I completely agree with you there. So
And as far as tolerance goes, because that's kind of the other question.
Yeah.
I have been on many servers that are openly supportive of tolerance issues and diversity issues. And then I have been on some that, well, most of them just say, hey, don't even talk about it and it won't be a problem.
Yeah.
And that's actually not a bad way of going about it. But at the same time, it is a subject that does need to be addressed because it will come up. No matter what your rules are, it will come up.
Yeah, when unless you have a very, very strict only talk about games, for instance, so when people, in my opinion, at least, when people start to know each other, they begin to talk because that's how we work, and stuff like personal stuff will come up.
I have never personally actually seen somebody flamed off a server. Harassed to the point where they just gave up and left because of a diversity issue. But I have came in on the tail end of an instance like that happening, or left because I've seen one coming.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's nothing as a player that you'll be able to do to really counteract that other than be supportive of the person. But that's only going to go so far. So I usually wind up just leaving it as kind of just my form of protest.
Yeah.
You know, this is wrong, this is bad, goodbye, have a nice day. Kind of deal.
Yeah. I'll take my business elsewhere, basically.
Yeah. So, and as far as the servers I've been on right now, I mean, most of them, obviously, like I said, I run a lot of what I play right now. The 7 Days to Die server I was on was not the case, but that group was actually really good as well. They were actually, they had a habit of, they would actually get different people in from different countries that normally wouldn't play with each other, like wouldn't even talk to each other.
Okay.
And they would actually have them playing together for a while. And then be like, hey, you know this guy that you get along with great and you guys have had a great time? Yeah, he's from so-and-so.
Okay.
And there was actually apparently a news article at one point done that. I can't remember he's actually a streamer as well. And he was a great guy. They stopped the 7 Days to Die server and started playing some other games that I don't have. So we've kind of fell apart, but I'm still a part of their Discord because they're a cool group of people. So
that sounds really, really cool. And yeah, that's a nice way of, that's actually a really nice way of joining people together.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I think the last instance they did that was actually on a RP-ish style server where they had literally people from different countries playing different cultures on different islands in Ark. And they had like strict rules and stuff set up, and they were trying to balance out the weapons to where, yeah, even though these guys had Stone Age weapons, they had stuff that could combat these peoples that had flintlocks or, you know, stuff like that, and tried to really balance it out. So it was a really neat concept. They mostly did it by skinning the objects where they're still as strong as, like, it's still a rifle, but it acts like a spear or things like that.
Yeah,
and, know, it was mostly a decorative thing, and I just thought he was telling me about it, and I thought it was really cool that they would go through this much trouble to set up something where a bunch of different people could play from all over the world. And even though they're working together with their people from, you know, their own region, they're interacting and role playing and having fun with these other people that are from all over the world. And nobody really knew what part of the world they were actually from originally.
No, because it's really hard to see if that guy or girl or whatever in a game where they are from or who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, wow, that's one of the things that just to be personal, talk about me for a second. What I really like about the community I'm in, it's so there are people from all over there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, I've got gaming buddies from Britain. I've got Danes. I've got Nords. I've got Brits. You know, Americans of all varieties. I used to game with a couple of French guys. You know, and there really is one thing that kind of can bring all people together as long as you keep an open mind, is games. The MMOs can as long as you set up standards for the server and you take them seriously, and you know, you really make the game enjoyable for the people, it'll bring them together and people will play and they'll enjoy each other's company, and they'll forget where they're from. They'll forget that, you know, this guy is a Nord, or more specifically, maybe this guy is gay, or, you know, whatever. It's a game. We're having fun. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, socially awkward. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, you have to take a break every now and then because you have a mental breakdown. Everybody knows you'll be back, and when you come back, you're like, hey guys, how's it going? Oh, it's awesome. Welcome back. We're doing so-and-so. Come on, hop on in.
Yeah.
So, I know there's always the opposite side of it. There's always cases where the absolute opposite happens. But, like I said, I feel I've been really lucky in most of the communities I've been in as far as tolerance goes. And if I'm not happy with the way the people handle the servers, I just leave. And in reality, those servers just don't last long. one day they just die.
Yeah, well,
Nobody wants to be around that kind of negativity.
no, because I think that people being asshats in one aspect often have a tendency to be that in others as well.
No, well, I'm a total asshat, but I'm the nicest asshat you'll ever meet.
The good type of asshat, Grev. Come on.
But yeah.
So, but yeah, I think you have covered. You just fly around all my questions, I say here. But yeah, you said that you like that when you're not satisfied with the community, you leave. But I do know for a fact that you are a community leader.
Yeah, I actually am a community leader. I have been a community leader before. My very first Minecraft server I ever logged into, I started building one of my Dwarven servers, or built Dwarven cities. And I was playing by myself, and I had been alone probably for about a month. And I got raided. And it was an obvious X-ray raid. So I called up the admin.
Mm-hmm.
They came and actually saw my storage room, which wasn't in my city. And the admin looked, and he's like, "Why do you have 253 furnaces
Mm-hmm.
and a tree farm that spans 256 chunks?" It wasn't really 256 chunks. He was exaggerating. But I was like, "Oh, let me show you." And I actually had a redstone circuit set up where when I hit a hidden button, I think it was one of the state change sensors where you hoe a piece of ground and it activates a redstone signal. And the waterfall literally stops flowing because I had a piston trap up there that would cut off the water, and it revealed this great big ornate entrance down into the ground. And I had started this Dwarven city, and I had the main chamber done, which was a hexagonal 100 by 100 by I think 50 room at bedrock level down a long stairwell. That the entire stairwell was actually a trap as well. You hit a hidden switch, and the entire thing flooded with lava. And it had these big lava pillars coming out of the ceiling and stuff. And he's like, "How many people have been working on you with this?" "Actually, it's just been me." And he was like, Xanadar, come here," who was the owner of the server. And I don't know if you played Minecraft back in the day when Lauren was a big thing. She ran one of the original mini maps.
No, I have played maybe 25 minutes of Minecraft.
This was actually Lauren's server. This was the server that Lauren originally ran, and eventually Xanadar took over, and it wound up becoming Pandemonium, which I built the spawn city for Pandemonium. But after about a couple weeks after that, I wound up staff. Very first server I ever logged into.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually that died down, and I staffed a couple other servers. Back in the day when you had to manually do every single mod pack, I would actually develop quick mod packs for people where they just had to send a package to whoever wanted to play on their server. They unzipped it into their Minecraft folder, and they were ready to go on the server. And I did that for a while. And like I said, I did some bucket plugins, but throughout it all, I did a lot of community stuff. I did one thing to try to help promote servers, just randomly. It wasn't like a specific server. I called it the Tuesday DMC Lotto. And what I would do is every Tuesday, I would go on a Planet Minecraft, and I would literally just refresh the screen on servers. And whoever had bumped their server, the most recent would be at the top of the list. I'd click on it, I'd join it, modded, unmodded, whatever. I'd do what I had to do to get on it. And I would play it for about 2 hours, get a basic space set up, and then afterwards I'd do a review on it. Now, the reason I did it like this is at that moment when you bump your server, you're at the top of that list, you are now the prime target for everybody who's going to try to start shit on your server. So in that 2 hour time frame after you bump your server, you could really tell what kind of staff you were dealing with, what kind of server, how much they cared about what they were doing in that 2 hour period.
So, next part of the question.
Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there.
No. We are having very much a. I almost feel that we should move over to the fireplace and get out some pistons and marshmallows. Anyway, so what do you do to, or what steps do you take to facilitate an inclusive community for everyone?
Well, me personally, I just try to make sure that I just treat everybody the same. I'm not going to, like, I'll bring over a friend of mine. Like, I recently brought a friend of mine over to Miasma. He was brand new to space engineers, but he wanted the hardest of the hard, so I was like, come over here, join Miasma.
Okay. Yep.
And, he kind of enjoyed it. I had another friend join recently. He's like, yeah, I really think it's an interesting concept, but this is definitely something you need to play with a couple of people. You don't want to do it solo.
Mm.
Which was kind of if you remember, that was kind of the goal we were going for when we finished up that pack. You helped me tone it down a little bit.
Well, unlike others, and let's not mention names, I'm not a pain slut.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that you can do as a community owner, or even just a player, is unless they give you a real reason to treat them differently, as in they're a griefer or the offline raider, combat logger, something that's against the rules themselves, because it's a game. It's not real life. It's a game. But if you're breaking the rules, you're not playing the game anymore.
No.
You're just doing your own thing. Go somewhere else where that's not a rule. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But as long as somebody's following by the rules, they really care. I mean, I do have a little bit of a low tolerance for whiners, or as I've called them, Care Bears. But I still will work with them. I'm just not going to give them any leeway, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
I'll say, hey, if you do this, you might find it to be a little bit better for you. Get one or two extra people to help you if you're finding your team of two not enough. Try to recruit a couple other players to help you out. Maybe go back through the tutorials. Maybe go try to play on this server for a little bit just to keep your skill level up a little bit higher. Switch over to Revelations for a little bit. Get some practical experience, and then come over here.
Yeah.
That's the kind of help that really needs to be given by admin. And what you do find on a lot of servers is the Care Bears start to whine, and suddenly the whole server is nerfed. The whole server becomes easier. And for those of us who like a challenge, you've now lost the appeal because you're catering to the ones who don't. And if the server is advertised as hardcore survival, and suddenly it's just not really hardcore, then it's no longer the game you started playing.
No, and I think that you are, that's talking about the fairness, and going by the.
I think that's the biggest thing when you're dealing with tolerance and diversity, is just to be fair.
Okay, go on.
I mean, you gotta. All right, so I'm trying to think of an exact example of what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let's say Miasma, for instance, right? We had the discussion recently of the build and repair bot.
Yeah.
Right? Now, Miasma has a very hands-on, do-it-yourself with your teammates agenda. That's what it was designed for. That was the total objective that we went for with Miasma. The build and repair bot literally turns a team job into a solo.
Yes. It will.
That is what I mean by fair. That is not by giving in to this 1, 2, 3 people who are wanting it easier. You're killing the intention of what the people who are playing it actually are enjoying, or the majority of the people are enjoying, the people who came there, what they came for. And I mean, it's the same, and you can translate this to the tolerance and diversity, where, you know, let's go absolute extreme. You know, you've got a member of the KKK, and they're bitching because somebody has a black suit on, and they want the black color removed from the game. I mean, I know that's extreme. I know that's a stupid example, but it's still a parallel.
Well,
You know, you can't really give in to the one, or you wind up breaking for the many.
yeah. Well, to be honest, China just banned the letter N, so, you know, no bets are off the table.
Gotcha. But I mean, I was just kind of trying to go for an extreme example of the because that is an extreme example of the tolerance issue. You know what I mean?
Of course, yes. And they are a very good example because they are so extreme. Yeah. And
it's not like we changed the textbooks just because of the flat earthers, right?
Nope, we will not. And
Speaking of space engineers and rocketry and stuff like that, let's throw a reference to the flat earth.
To derail the discussion, actually, I met a flat earther in the space engineers community.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Nice guy, well spoken. He just kind of doubted the fact that the Earth was round.
I have actually sat, no joke, and I have tried to see where they're coming from. Like, I have tried to abandon all logic of everything I've ever heard, and just looked at the world around me and tried to see in what way, shape, or form it looks flat. And I don't personally see how you could come to this conclusion.
No, and I have...
For reference sake here, I'm going to go ahead and...
No.
But yeah, I really don't.
And I think that's, for me at least, it's basically the same with much of the diversity and tolerance issue.
Yeah, and I think that is a very... I think the flat earth concept is a... And I mean, it's kind of reversal in this, because we literally cannot see how these people can believe this.
No. But
they believe it.
Nonetheless, oh yeah.
And I mean, I don't slander them for anything, but I'm going to flat out say, you know, I'm still going to talk to them. I'm still going to hang out with them. I just don't believe it, and I don't see how it can be believed, basically.
Nope. No, yeah, and I think that's actually, we are kind of sliding over into the 7th question about how the community should deal with people that misbehave. And, well, flat earthers and homophobes, also known in my book as assholes, well, as you said, that maybe just hanging around with them and trying to be nice, and I can do that. I know I have people with wildly different opinions than me, but as long as they they don't bring it up, sure.
That's kind of the thing. That's kind of the thing with the gaming community, and that whole aspect is don't make a big deal out of it. In my opinion, don't make a big deal out of it. Your opinions are your opinions.
Yeah.
If your opinions cause trouble for me or mine or my community or make my game less enjoyable, because that's how I unwind, like I said.
Yeah.
If your beliefs are making my experience in playing a game, it's not about politics, it's not about religion, it's not about gender, it's not about any of that. It's a game. We're all there to have fun. If your experience is interrupting our fun, then you can go somewhere else. I'll give you a warning. I'll give you a fair chance. If it continues being an issue, I don't see why you're here anymore.
if people in black suits are offensive to you, yeah,
Yeah.
it's your problem.
Yeah, it's your problem, and we don't want it to be our problem.
Yep.
And that's kind of the way it comes, because that's just going to make it unenjoyable for everybody.
Yeah.
We're here to build in space engineers. We're here to build awesome ships. Maybe have a little PvP from time to time. Have a great PvE experience, which is kind of the concept of Miasma, with some PvP thrown in space.
Crash.
Crash. Have close encounters of the Clang kind.
Oh yeah.
Things like that. That's what we're here for. We're not here to hear somebody rage about whatever. I don't want to point any fingers at any specific anybody. If you're having a polite conversation about something, that's one thing. If two people are having a polite conversation about it, and then somebody, they're having a polite conversation about furries. Let's use that, because that's kind of general neutral.
Yeah.
But then we have a furry who goes apeshit because they're having a conversation about furries, and they're having a polite conversation. Then now it's the furry that's in the wrong, or vice versa.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it really is kind of a both sides of the tree. It's not just the ones who are the extremists. The other ones that make it unfun are the people who just get completely bent out of shape and can't enjoy a conversation for what it is, because that conversation could wind up in the end completely changing that person's opinion. And as long as it remains a polite conversation, let them have the polite conversation.
Yeah.
If they're not bashing you and they're just voicing their opinions, leave them alone.
Yeah. By all means.
I mean, it really does go to both extremes. And honestly, I think a lot of the problem we have in the world right now is everybody's trying to please everyone, and in the end, nobody's happy.
Yep, that's I kind of agree with you. Although Duchess brought up a valid point about, and I think this applies to more than just gender. It also goes for all kinds of. I don't want to use the word abnormal, but extra normal. That's a nice word. I'll use that. That there is a certain, the white male heterosexual has a head start.
Yeah, and also who you're born, where you're born, and who your parents are.
Oh yeah,
Can also give you a head start.
Immensely.
You see pictures online and Facebook of stuff where a kid's holding up a wad of $100 bills. He's like 15. He's like, my weekend spending money. I'm so broke. And you're like, that's more than I make in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's. I'm not. I will never advocate violence, but I can understand it.
Sometimes when it's rubbed in your face and you struggle every day of your life, it sometimes is hard to remain the nice guy. I do admit this. But you just maintain it. You just treat that person as a whole nother entity entirely out of the race, and you try your best not to associate them with the rest of the world, which is the majority of people who are lower middle class, getting by day to day and enjoying life to the best of their abilities, and don't need $1,000 to enjoy a weekend.
That is true. That is true. It would help, but it's not. Thank Clang for that a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
You can have.
I mean, yeah, the basis of the world is almost in a way built on inequality, and it's kind of a sad thing, but it's something that most people have grown to accept. We make our way through it. We don't let it offend us, and we just push on.
Yeah, unless it's as long as it's within certain limits. If that kid came up to me at work and actually stood there swinging his $100 bills around, or Norwegian kroner, and said, bloody, 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 I'm so much richer than you, so you should, I don't know, shut up and just obey me because I
Or the "Do
am.
you know who my daddy" thing is. That's a good one too. That's a good
Nah,
example of
if
this.
that has been said, I wouldn't have an issue because then I would say, I'll be your daddy.
Oh God, it's so creepy. That would definitely be a good way of chasing him off, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah. And
Most of the time.
well, either chasing him off or getting a, I don't know, reverse reverse sugar
Reverse
baby.
sugar daddy, yeah, yeah. My wife's giving me a funny look now.
Well, womp womp womp. So anyway, I don't think that will happen, and I am fortunate enough to work in a store where if the customers are too bad, I can actually tell them to leave.
Yeah.
I'm the more diplomatic one at work. So yeah, but this is it's just come to be one of the most interesting questions, and maybe one of the more important ones. If there are anybody here listening or watching this on the YouTubes, as long as you consent to this being exported to YouTube, of course, that are experiencing or have experienced online bullying or harassment or something similar, what would you like to say to them?
Well, first off, I think the biggest thing to remember is they're just people too. The people who are bullying you are just people. They're going to have their ups. They're going to have their downs. They're probably bullying you just because they're not happy with themselves. That's just the bottom line. 90% of the time, that's the case. I'm not going to say 100 because that's not the case. Some people just do it because they're just cruel. Second of all, there's other places for you. If you're watching this to the space engineers, come down to Tiamat. We're a great community. Come join us. We have a great time. You know, we don't judge. We've got every sorts. We've got annoying people. We've got really cool people. We've got people like Rim, his own category over here. But basically what I'm saying is there's a place somewhere where you're going to be accepted. And if there's the bullying going on, they're just going to walk away. Disassociate yourself. My son, I will actually use a personal reference. He had, for a long time, had this puppy dog, eager to please everybody attitude going on, and all it really got him was lots of bullying because he wanted to even please the bullies. And eventually, after I talked to him enough, he just started disassociating himself with the bullies. And it's not a problem anymore. If they give him trouble, he walks away. Just, you don't need that in your life. And that's the bottom line.
Okay.
They're bullying you because of them. They're not bullying you because of you. And as long as you remember that, that's what it is. I mean, even trolls in games, they're doing what they do for like a sick thrill. Now, don't get me wrong. Some trolls are awesome. I watched this one art troll who raids people's bases, knocks them out and stuff. He doesn't kill them or take all their stuff. He just goes in to prove he can, takes their thatch, and that's it. Maybe a couple of useless blueprints or a wooden club. He does it for fun. He trolls for fun. He doesn't cause any actual harm. He's not one of those that's going to, completely devastate your base just to prove a point. He's just doing it to have fun, and he streams it and YouTubes it so that maybe the next person won't make that mistake.
Yeah, I think that's a whole other category of bullying, or that's not bullying. That's friendly trolling. The classic half Norwegian troll.
Yeah, I mean, there's trolls, there's bullies, and then there's people that this is just their way of having fun. They're not being douchebags, and there's a little bit of everything. And part of our responsibility as players or people is to kind of realize the difference between the two as well.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in the heat of the moment, you're going to be pissed that your base was broken into. Let's face it, you're going to be pissed. Take a step back for just a second, analyze the situation. What was done? What was actually done? Was this actually malicious? Or was this just a complete and utter dick move? Or was this just somebody having some fun? Did they follow the rules? Did they, things like that? And I think it's kind of the responsibility of, it really, ultimately, it's your responsibility to evade the rule, because you don't have to have them in your life. It's hard to avoid them. Don't get me wrong. It is absolutely hard to avoid them. But if you're somewhere where there's a big problem with it, then why are you still there? Don't give them fuel for the fire. There's a lot of stuff you can do on your end to evade the bullies. Now, that person's still going to be out there. They're still going to harass somebody else. And when that happens and you discover another person that's being harassed, you're like, hey, why don't you join me over here in this community? It's all about knowledge, and it's all about sharing information, and it's all about people finding that home that we all can get along, we can all join together and enjoy ourselves. Because that's ultimately what playing a game's about, right?
Yep.
We're here to enjoy ourselves. People are going to enjoy different things. There's servers out there dedicated to being an asshole. That's what they're for. If you want to be that way, their door's open. There are communities dedicated to being complete and utter Care Bears, like ARC servers with 100x everything. Their door's open. And there's servers that, they want to challenge. You want to challenge yourself to the limit and just see how far you can go in a progression and see how much you can get done before you have to bring in other players, or see how far you can make it in a team, or become the ultimate faction. And I think it's a matter of really finding a home. And in games, there's homes as well. I consider Tyranical Gaming my home right now.
Oh.
And I hope it stays that way for many years to come. Tyranical Gaming has been a great community. I've enjoyed all my time with them, the ups and the downs. We've had instances with interesting individuals. I still refuse to really mention names because that's just rude as hell.
By all means.
There's always going to be accusations of admin abuse. That's just the thing. There's always going to be accusations of hacking. If one team's doing so much better than everybody else, they're going to get accused of hacking. It doesn't matter if the admins sit there and watch them 24 hours a day and assure everybody that they're not hacking. There's still going to be people that say they're hacking.
Yeah.
And I just like the fact that the admin and tyranny are so on top of everything, myself included. We try to stay so much on top of everything that we can say, yeah, that team's legit. You really can't say anything about them. And we move on. And if they keep going, well, they kept going. We're not going to bend over backwards for something that we've already disproven to be the case.
So, to summarize a little, basically, find somewhere you can call home.
Yeah. Find a home.
Yeah.
It's just like the real world. You find friends, you find family, you find... just don't surround yourself with toxic people.
Well,
remove yourself from the toxic situation, and that's it. It's up to you. And if you've got friends on said server with toxic people, be like, hey, I'm going over here. I don't really think we should have to deal with this. You guys want to join me. Bring your family with you, and now where you're going has an even bigger family.
That is true. Although real life, of course, is a little bit more complicated than...
It is. This is more of a generalized...
Yeah. By all means.
Yeah, there is no perfect answer to that question.
No.
Every single person you ask is going to have a different explanation or a different belief on it.
Yes.
And every one of them is going to hold a grain of truth. Me personally, I just take myself out of a toxic situation and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the worst thing you can do. By any means. So...
It is like in space scenarios, let's say you have a lot of work done. Well, you know what? That's what the blueprint button is for. Make a blueprint of your progress, go to another server. Now that you have a blueprint, getting back up to that point's really a no-brainer.
It is...
Unless it's miasma.
Well, it is way easier to rebuild than to make. That's for sure. So, yeah. So, right now, on top of your head, is there one thing, just one single thing, that you would like people to do right now to make a more tolerant and inclusive community?
To make a more tolerant and inclusive community.
Again, for everybody.
One thing.
Yeah.
Just one thing.
Yep.
Just remember it's a game.
Mm.
It is a game. At the end of the day, all that experience or whatever you lost can be regained. All of those levels, that building you lost, all of it can be redone at the end of the day. Just remember it's a game.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing in the gaming world is you're playing a game. This is not real life.
Yep. That's actually quite important because we have a tendency to lose ourselves a little in gaming.
Especially in sandboxes. The sandboxes are the most... Well, let me rephrase. All right, let's take a step back. Sandboxes and competitive play. Competitive play because you're all about your stats. And one person screwing around can really screw up your stats. Don't get me wrong. But it's still a game. In a sandbox, you may spend months building something for the first time. And somebody wipes it out. It's still a game, and building it the second time is easier. You already know how you want it. It is a game. Just keep that in mind. It's a game. And that's both very simple and it's very hard.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. So okay, that was one small thing that people should do. So what about one singular thing that people should stop doing?
Oh, now that one's a little more complex. And I have actually given this thought before, even before I got a list of the questions. And I've been thinking about it. And it's a really hard one to answer because there's not really an inclusive answer to that. I would say the most common thing, though, would be just respect. Just, it's the lack of respect that causes most of the problems anywhere.
Okay.
So if we can just stop that lack of respect. Because, yes, it's a game at the same time, like I said before, but at the same time, at the other end of the data is a person. And, a lot of the respect problem is that people have this image in their head of now that they're talking to this person through a computer, they're behind this invincible wall, and they can say whatever they want, and they don't have to pay the repercussions for it. I think that lack of respect, if we can just get people to stop having that lack of respect that the internet has kind of built up, I think that would go a really far ways towards improving the overall gaming world and the internet in general, just our form of communication in the modern world. Just that lack of respect because of that filter that I'm on the other end of the screen, they're across the country, I can say whatever I want.
Yeah.
If we can just stop with that mentality, that whole mindset that, you can't do anything about it, and I can say whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. I think that's actually kind of our biggest problem in the gaming world.
that people basically treat each other as NPCs or others, not each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree there. Yeah, yeah,
And I know that was a weird way of wording it at first, so I kind of had to clarify it. But yeah, it's that lack of respect that we need to stop.
yeah. No problem. And yeah, so you give really. I'm impressed. I knew I was going to be impressed, but you just confirmed that. Oh, let's see here.
Well, one of the reasons I think I have as good answers as I do is even in the real world, I have friends of every flavor of life. I mean, I've met some people. I mean, you can't help but meet people when you go into the Marine Corps, for one, and then just my life in general. I just college, the gaming world, everything. I've met, every single. Well, I can't say every single, but I've met almost every stereotype you come across, and I don't really socialize well with them. Because, like I said earlier, I'm not a very sociable person.
Yeah.
But because of that, I kind of sit on the sidelines and I can listen.
Yeah.
And you learn so much just by sitting and listening.
Oh, yeah. Very much.
And, I mean, I think that's why, because I'm that person on the sidelines, I think I wind up with a lot of insight to the way some things work. Like at work, if something's like my work, I have a work where we have multiple different sections of the entire base. Everybody's split up into crews, and each one of us has our own projects working on it. And those individual crews are also split up into 3 crews.
Mm-hmm.
And I go out to the smoke pit. I have a cigarette, and I'm just over in my corner quietly smoking my cigarette. And I'll hear this lead talking about what's going on over here, and this lead talking about what's going on over here, and these people talking about what's going on over here. And I think because I sit there so quietly, I hear more. And so pretty much anytime somebody needs to know something that's going on, usually I can actually answer them just because I sit there and listen.
Okay.
I don't run my mouth, I just listen. And that's one of the things that I don't think we do enough of, really, is listening.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I just Pamper Duchess replied here in chat saying that remember that dick pics go to the NSA. So they are also listening. So yeah, it had to be mentioned.
Gotcha. That's fine. And this was the Duchess, you said?
Pamper Duchess.
Right. I think I watched a little bit of that particular stream while I was at work. My reception there is not that great, so I only caught bits and pieces.
Well,
but I did remember some good lines and stuff from it. It was a nice interview you did there.
I was blown away, to be honest. So, but anyway, this isn't about her. Sorry.
It's all right.
Yep. This is about you. So we are actually kind of nearing the end here. And the silly, stupid, and banal question, which of course is, tell us something about yourself. Something interesting, random, funny.
Well, kind of did a little bit of that at the beginning, but
now you have to tell us more.
Well, I'll actually expand upon what I said earlier. Because of the whole My Little Pony incident and me feeling bad, I actually did go and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lot of nerd humor in that, and I do continue to watch it now, not just because I have a 2-year-old daughter, just because there's a lot of fun stories in there, and there's a lot of references that, if you're into, all different kinds of genre of movies, games, things like that, you'll see references to them everywhere. And I think that's when I started getting into other types of fandoms and stuff. I started learning about the Homestuck, the fandoms, and wound up becoming a furry. I actually have a fursona. Oh my god, I'm a furry. Hello. It's horrible.
No, I'm just the fact that you can say basically My Little Pony turned me into a furry.
Hey, at least it didn't turn me into a clopper.
I don't know what a clopper is.
I'm sure somebody out there watching got the reference and they're horrified. My wife is horrified. Um, but no, it's little things like that right there, expand your awareness. Okay, I did this thing kind of as a joke, just playing along with some fun, and I found out something interesting from it.
Yeah.
I learned lots of things. At this point, I'm in so many communities now, I probably would need another 30 minutes to list everything that I participate in or that I'm interested in participating in. And, some of it, it's not really get into it, but it's a big world out there.
Oh, yeah.
And the more narrow your mind is, the more unaccepting your mind is, the less of life you're gonna experience.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a horrible, horrible thing to see somebody who they're not getting to enjoy life because they just can't bring themselves to accept that the world is bigger than they are.
Absolutely agree with you there. It's just, I remember a couple of years ago, I met a guy who only ate store-bought pizza with ketchup on for dinner. That was the one thing he had for dinner, period.
Oh, I can't. I'm such a foodie. I love to cook. I love to eat. And that's part of the reason why my gut hangs out quite so much.
Yeah, I see.
There's also that guy that would only eat stuff if he dipped it in maple syrup. I don't know if you heard about that guy.
Now I have.
And I mean, that's cool. It's cool that you like stuff dipped in maple syrup.
Sure.
But you're missing out on so many flavors because that particular flavor covers up everything. It's such a strong, delicious, but strong flavor that you don't really get to experience what you're actually eating.
Yeah, I have several issues with dipping everything in maple syrup, actually. Call me conservative, no problem. Not my thing.
So, I mean, I think it's important to keep your mind open. It really is. I mean, you don't necessarily have to agree with something. You don't necessarily have to try something, though. I mean, even I can't try everything. I still, all these years, and me being such a foodie and everything, I still have not managed to get myself to try an anchovy. I can't do it.
It tastes like a fish.
I just, the smell, I can't get past the smell to actually eat it. And it's my biggest shame as a foodie that I have not managed to at least try it. Something that easily available, and I have not tried it.
Well, there are lots and lots of easily available things that most of us won't try.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
it's kind of the thing.
Yeah. A word of wisdom from Duchess: your mind is like a parachute. Generally works better when open.
Yes, that is actually a great way of putting it. Thank you very much, Duchess. I might actually have to steal that.
I don't mind. I wouldn't mind at all. Anyway, I think we are at the end of the road. I will try to steal away Fiona shortly.
Alrighty. I'm sure she would be very happy to show up, and if she'll go ahead and start launching and getting ready. She took the hint quite well.
I'll refine up some silicon for nefarious purposes.
Gotcha. And that's another thing. Speaking of, especially real quick, just space engineers in general and the whole open-mindedness and stuff. I just want to bring up one little gripe that we've had for so long. All of us have had. Is why the hell is there not a female skin?
Oh yeah.
Why is there not a female skin? I mean, personally, I don't do the whole, I want to be a female because I prefer the idea of watching a girl walk around, which is very common in, especially MMORPG genre.
Yeah.
But just the having of that option is just so much in the gaming world today for multiple reasons. And why?
Yeah. Well,
in Space Engineers, all you'd have to do is make a face. It's a face.
Well, if you're watching this, and if you would like to, I know that Marek Rosa has a Facebook profile. He's quite active, and you can reach him using chat and tell him exactly that. I might plan on reaching out to him anyway later, and I should have done so a couple of days ago, just for the hell of it. But yeah, I completely agree with you there. Who knows?
I mean, I know they have bigger bugs to squash, so to speak, but it really is something that should have just been implemented off the get-go.
It's something little that would mean a lot. So that should make it, in my opinion at least, kind of top of the bucket list.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, thank you for being here. In case any of you watching is wondering what in the name of tarnation is that epileptic dreidel over there, you will find out when we fire up the parade world. Or
Yep, I might have to participate in that, but I'm actually thinking I might work on the set of drones that I want to build for my asthma today a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's it's going to open in about 24 hours.
Cool.
Yep. I am, of course, in the offline, or no, I'm not. I am in the in my own personal version of this world, but it will be uploaded, and I have to remake stuff inside here. Blah blah blah, all the things. Redid the polyamory armory.
Polyarmory. I did like that. I got the reference.
It's a fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, but thank you tons for being here. I really appreciate it. So, and feel free, I'll open the door and you can actually be the first one that rides. I'm not sure quite what it is, but oh yeah, it was supposed to be a bike. Yeah.
It's kind of a space bike that is not functioning properly at the moment.
So
I seem to be out of juice.
How can you be out of juice in a creative world?
I don't know. It's not turning back on.
So basically, we are ending with space engineers behaving queerly. Fair enough.
Let's see. Maybe I can do it manually. No, I can't. Yes, space engineers. The game you love to hate. I think I'd actually have to throw some uranium in it to get it going again.
Right. And while he's busy doing his thing.
Why?
So, thank you for being here, Graham. And thank you to all of those of you that have been watching. Very much appreciated, and I hope to see you all on the 9th, as in 24 hours from now. About. Okay?
There we go.
Have a good one. Bye.